Factor form. Factor form just means that I'm going to take something that's in index form, that has a power, and then break it up and put lots of little time symbols in between. So what is a prime number? Of course, a prime number is any number that can only be divided evenly by itself and the number 1. Both 6 and 2 are factors of 30. Which one is a prime factor and which one is not a prime factor? Explain. It would help for us to know what the term factor means. A factor is any number that can go inside a larger number evenly. So for example, the factors of 10 would include 1, 2, 5, and 10. Because 10 can be divided by 5, that would equal 2. 10 can be divided by 2, because that will equal 5. 10 can be divided by 10, because that will equal 1. And 10 can be divided by 1. So all the numbers that can divide evenly inside that larger number is a factor. A prime factor is any factor that is a prime number. What numbers can fit evenly into 6? Well, 1 can. 2 times 3 can be 6, so 2, 3. And also the number 6, because 1 times 6 equals 6. Whereas 2, 1 can and 2 can. Which one is prime? The only one here that would be prime is going to be 2, because the only numbers that can go inside it are the number 1 and itself. Whereas 6 has more than 2 factors. Therefore, 2 is our prime factor. Express the following in prime factor form. What this means is that I need to go and put all the numbers stretched out with little time symbols in them, but using the smallest possible numbers I can. What does that look like? Well, let's start with this first one, which says 3 to the power of 5. Well, that is the same as saying 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is 3 to the power of 5. Because what does the power of 5 mean? It means it's timesing itself 5 times. So 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Please never ever say that it's 3 times 5 is 15. That is not the correct answer. It is timesing itself. 20p to the power of 4. With this one here, if you are not familiar with prime factors or you want and not very sure, the easiest way to do this would be to start breaking that big number 20 into a couple of numbers that can multiply together to get that number. So 20 could be the same as saying 4 times 5. Can 5 break into a smaller number? Well, no. Now you might be thinking about you can do 1 times 5. Well, that's the same as just writing 5, so we don't bother with that. Can 4 break into some smaller numbers, something times something? Well, yes, it can. It can be formed as 2 times 2. And that last step here, 2 times 2 times 5, is the number 20 in prime factor form. Now you could have broken this up in a different way. You'll notice here I used 4 times 5. Does it work if I did 2 times 10? Because 2 times 10 is equal to 20. Why, yes, it does. Because we've got one prime factor, which is 2. What's 2 numbers that multiply together to get 10? Well, that would be 5 and 2. And guess what? We have the exact same answer. And there's our prime factors. So now that we have broken up the numbers into prime factors, there is p to the power of 4. So that's p times p times p times p. And there it is in prime factor form. The next one says 16 squared g squared h. So we need to break this up into some smaller numbers. 16 squared is the same as saying 16 times 16. What's a couple of numbers that multiply together to get 16? We can do 8 times 2 gets me 16, or 4 times 4 gets me 16. Either one will get us the answer that we need. I might go with 8 times 2. And the reason I might do that is because 2 is a prime factor, and that means I've done half of my job for me. You'll notice there I keep putting the time symbols in there just to make sure I don't forget them later. Now, 8. 8 is the same as saying 4 times 2. Now, I could also know here that 4 is the same as 2 times 2. So in other words, every time I see an 8, it would be the same as saying 2 times 2, which is 4, times another 2, which would be 8. And I have my prime factor form. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got two g's, as in g squared, so g times g, so there's g times g, and an h. And there is my prime factor form.